Hi, this is Danny Doyle, and I am joined by no one. I'm solo commentating today. Don't worry, Jacob will be back for the next real chapter, but I figured as far as the interludes were concerned, if there's not a unit analysis or something else big to talk about, I would give Jacob some time off, just so that the recording schedule is a little bit easier, and also because Jacob doesn't really need to be here to talk about how, like, we've already seen Alexis, we've already seen Wilhelm. I don't know. I figured that it would be nice to give Jacob a little bit of rest time. Everyone comment below. Jacob, we miss you. Danny's commentary is stinky all on its own, and we love you, Jacob. And we hate Danny. Subscribe to Jacob if you haven't already. But I did point out, we do have these three, Hyperius, Alexis, and Wilhelm, who we've already seen. There are some new units we get to preview. Manfred is Wilhelm's little gambling buddy. They're friends, and they do share the speed problems with each other, so it's kind of nice. But he's got a cool little skill. In addition to, I'm sure you recognize Vantage, he has Shroud, which means Pure Waters and Barrier Staves also add to his AS. Basically any temporary form of res, because there are, spoilers I guess, some other forms of temporary res that will help him. On the topic of spoilers, I did want to talk about the spoiler policy we have. I'll point out Charlie. They get bow range plus at level 12, and I wish they were better than they are, because they're pretty mediocre, but they're an archer who focuses on player phase bulk. And these stats are not that impressive for the time they join. They're not even that impressive for right now. Speed's nice, but like a promoted Sam, like a 15-1 promoted Sam, is just going to be better than Charlie statistically in almost every way except for bulk. Which, like, I guess it's nice that they have the bulk behind them. We'll talk about them when they show up, but I'm disappointed in them. They do show off the great bow is cool, though. We do also see another cool weapon, Smite. Smite is... So previously, Smite was a physical tome. It hit on defense, as opposed to what it currently does, where it pierces res. But that caused a bunch of bugs, so it was eventually changed to just be essentially light mode Luna. Which is also cool. Just, physical tome would have been cooler, but unfortunately, limitations. And the Merchant, selling lightweight, which basically adds con to AS divided by 2. Or excess con to AS divided by 2. Useful for units who might have really, really high con, and not as good speed. Gee, I wonder if there's anyone that applies to. But yeah, so I did want to talk about our spoiler policy, because Jake and I have been talking about it. I know that there's almost certainly some people who are watching the Let's Play, what just happened? Hold on one second. Okay, I ran into some sort of bug with the free running, but it's working now. I just had to restart. I know that there's almost certainly some people who are watching the Let's Play who haven't played through the entirety of TMGC, and maybe you're, like, playing along at the pace that you're, like, playing. Maybe you just haven't decided whether or not you want to play this ROM hack or not. Perfectly valid. However, I do think that especially the story of this game is very much best experienced blind. So we've been dancing around some mechanical and story spoilers. However, as we get more and more units, and especially in the unit analysis sections, it's going to be harder and harder to not talk about things that come later. For example, we actually did spend quite a while talking about the ankle weight before we got it. And there's going to be more instances like that. So I have 2 spoiler walls, as I'm calling them. It's a term that I stole from Duckfeed, the podcast network Duckfeed. but there are 2 spoiler walls that we're going to be using. The first is coming down right now, and that is, as far as mechanical stuff is concerned, we are not going to be explicitly talking about them, but if something is relevant to a unit review, either in terms of, well, for example, Charlie. Charlie has a PRF that is actually a PRF only they can use. Later, a unit joins who can use every PRF in the game, except for Charlie's. And the reason is that Charlie's PRF has 0 range, and Charlie's the only unit in the game who can access bow range +1. So their PRF can only be used by them, and only when they have bow range +1. That's the sort of thing that we can't really talk about without spoiling both the PRF that shows up and that later there's a character who can use every PRF in the game. So that's an example of the sort of thing that we will no longer be dancing around. Now, there are story spoilers that we will be avoiding. However, at a certain point, it becomes impossible to talk about the mechanics without going into those story spoilers. And I believe the cutoff for that point is chapter 20. So, starting in chapter 20, we are going to fully tear down the spoiler wall. Any story stuff will also be discussed. We've been trying to sort of have a light hand about story things, other than, you know, for example, we said Sid doesn't join you. I guess that technically could be a story thing, but I've been trying mostly to dance around stuff, and starting in chapter 20, full spoiler wall down. So if you've been putting off playing this game, or you've been playing alongside us, this is just sort of your warning of it's coming. The spoiler wall will come down. Let's talk to you. And we got the merchant here. Looking for something to buy? That's quite unexpected. This guy's funny. Scrolls do weird things. This one seems to hasten those a few burdens for a price. How about 1683? It's weird, but it feels lucky to me. Purchase a peculiar scroll? Yes. All right, here you go. So yeah, we are going to be saving that for Hyperius. Joseph also appreciates it, but our Joseph is... I mean, our Joseph is still a long-term unit, but he's not as long-term as Hyperius, and I don't think he's going to appreciate it as much as Hyperius would. Let's also talk to you. So that's Agnes, one of the secret characters, the game's first secret character. There are 10 secret characters total. They are the one thing that like sort of separates the secret characters from regular characters, in addition to, at least in theory, their recruitments being more difficult to get, although some of them are pretty obvious in my opinion, is that they all have no supports and no base camp events. There's a couple of base camp maps where you can get events with characters, and the secret characters have no supports and no base camp events. Agnes is the first of them, and there are actually 2 methods to recruiting her. The first and most obvious method is talk to her here and then talk to her on a second interlude, 9X. That was actually only added recently. It's kind of funny. Agnes used to use a free-to-use mug, and when her mug got updated to be the beautiful one that y'all just saw, Retna wanted more people to be able to use her, so added the alternative, much, much easier recruitment method. The second, or I guess technically first, the original recruitment method was in Chapter 11, having a unit who is not Blair stand on a very specific tile. There's a single road tile on the entire map, and a unit who's not Blair has to stand there, and then Agnes will spawn. The recruitment methods don't change anything. She still joins in Chapter 11, but it's just kind of funny that Agnes is definitely the most extreme example of, like, secret character in quotation marks secret, because you just talked to a green unit twice. I don't think that's an unreasonable ask, TBH, but some people skip everything in the interludes, which, like, I guess you wouldn't get lightweight then. We went to the inn. That's important for a side quest later. And did I buy a Shining Bow yet? I don't think I did. No, okay. So let's go to the Shining Bow Armory. I actually have enough for 2 Shining Bows. Do I want to go completely broke? I don't think so. I think I get 1 Shining Bow. And then we got Elfire already, right? I could get a Thunder. This is the last chance to stock up on stuff before a pretty big, there's 3 maps in a row, but 10 in particular is a pretty big map for our purposes. I know there's Reavers and effective weapons. A Horse Slayer might actually be useful. Actually, do I have one in the convoy? I might have one in the convoy. I think I got one in the what was it called? The map where we have to talk to the king, Brandel. Yeah. 16 durability left. This should be fine, right? That should be fine. Yeah, that should be fine. We've got... I'm gonna have Buyer's Remorse. Where are we on Javelins? We did just get another one last. So we got these 2, and then there's some people's inventories as well. We're good on hammers. We're good on... I think we're going to need to buy staves, because we're almost out of heal staves. So I don't want to press too much on our funds. I know down here there's barrier. I have a full use barrier. I have multiple pure waters. What was this one again? Oh yeah, this was axes plus bows. I think we're good like this. I think we're just good like this. Yeah, okay, bit of a shorter episode today. But mostly just me rambling, I guess. And a little bit of shopping. And a little bit of unit preview. See, this is why I didn't want Jacob here. Like, it would be a waste of Jacob's time. Anyway, y'all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, gamers. Anyone who saw the length of the video knows that I actually changed my mind. I'm going to be doing some amount of the preps here as well, just because a 10-minute video does not feel justifiable. I'm not going to be doing everything. A lot of the just rearranging items will be off screen, but I do have a shopping list. I need an iron bow, 2 heal staves, and a fire tome. So let's buy an iron bow, a fire tome, and 2 heal staves. And then we have one last piece of preparation that needs to happen. And that is the Jeff Ascendancy. So it does suck a little bit to miss out on Quick Riposte. Normally, Quick Riposte is just the skill that doesn't matter. It is the most unessential level 15 skill in the game, but ironically, in 0% growths, he doesn't cap speed, because, you know, he doesn't get speed. So, in this setting, would be really the only time that Quick Riposte is actually helpful, outside of maybe Animus mode, if you reclassed him into something with a lower speed cap, because it would stop him from getting doubled, increase his bulk a little bit. However, Jeff needs bows for this map. So it's gonna hurt his long term, no getting around that, but Jeff with bows and an extra point of move makes this map a lot easier. Incidentally, we can steal the hand axe now, because it's 11 weight. But that is not the main benefit. 5 uses of a hand axe is fucking nothing. The bigger thing is bow access and 7 move is pretty essential, because while from a story perspective, this is something of a breather map, it's much like the previous one, just fighting some brigands, well, in this case, pirates. But from a story perspective, yeah, this is a breather map. From a gameplay perspective, this is pretty darn hard. There's 2 recruitable units, Apollo, who can only be recruited by Blair, who gets one-rounded by every physical enemy on the map, by the way, because they all either one-shot her or double her. Oh wait, you might not. No, you do, you one-shot her. You double her. Like, it's a tragic state of affairs. This guy doubles her, this guy doubles her. So Blair does not have a safe ground anymore. Which means getting to this stationary green unit before he dies is going to be troublesome. And we do want Apollo, because he's very good, but also, Apollo recruits Bechamel, who, Bechamel is also stationary. It's not shown because of weird AI stuff with, like, you can't give a recruitable unit 0 move, whereas, like, this guy has 0 move, but he has stationary AI. So Bechamel is not in danger of killing himself, but he is in danger of dying to the green units. Sid specifically, but also his pirates. And they will rush Bechamel if we don't recruit him in a timely manner. So it's a whole problem. There is thankfully like an incredibly crowded gangplank. Also, this one's pretty crowded, but that's less in our favor. But we are going to work this in our favor, trying to hold back Sid and his forces from murdering the recruitable unit because green unit AI moment. It's a very clever concept. I really like this map conceptually, both in terms of the difficult recruitment. On Lunatic, Bechamel starts farther away so that Sid can't kill him as easily. Or, sorry, on not Lunatic, on lower difficulties, Bechamel starts farther away so that Sid can't kill him as easily. And so one, that's a really cool part of the design, but also you'll notice our deployment slots are kind of all over the place. I don't know if this was the intention, but to me, it reads like we were just sort of chilling on the ship, not really in battle position, and then we got boarded, which is why there are so many people who are really far away from the start of combat, just because we got taken by surprise. So that's really cool. I do really like this map. It is arguably harder than the next map, which we've been sort of hyping up, if you aren't going for the side objectives of the next map. Although, I guess, also, this map could be easier if you don't go for the side objectives, but Apollo and Bechamel are, at least in my opinion, more enticing side objectives than the ones in Chapter 10. But, okay, for real, I've rambled it off now. We're gonna call it. See y'all!